I don't have a problem with the WNBA players asking for a raise. The WNBA is on a hot streak. I don't care about the previous 24, 25 years. As an investment, it's starting to pay off. And so this week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, a Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlin Clark.
Kelsey Plum was just put in her place by Colin Cowherd. To be honest, it was past time for someone to say it. Plum chose to disparage the one person in charge of their recent success, even though Caitlin Clark is literally turning the WNBA from a failing league into a lucrative machine. Cowherd didn't hold back, and you'll be shocked by what he disclosed about the WNBA's simmering jealousy. What exactly did Cowherd say then? Furthermore, how can he compare Michael Jordan, his royal heiress, to Caitlin Clark? If you support Caitlin, then comment Golden Goose. Come on.
T-shirt, just united front was determined this morning that we had a meeting for, and not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Oh boy.
Do you want to know how significant this change has been? Imagine this. WNBA players flew on low-cost airlines for more than 20 years, where they were required to pay for water. These women were playing for teams that were losing money year after year, while enduring seasons in deserted arenas. The majority of fans couldn't even find a jersey to purchase if they so desired due to the extremely low retail sales.
But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private. Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself. All right? You went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 Seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking.
After Caitlin Clark arrived, things abruptly altered. We are discussing a 500% rise in sales of items. 500%. The league saw a 40% increase in attendance, with some cities selling out games that previously drew perhaps a few thousand spectators spread across enormous arenas. Franchises that were losing money all of a sudden turned a profit. One of the league's worst financial collapses, the Indiana Fever now have a waiting list for season tickets.
I don't mind the T-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls. Like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow. Right? She got you an upgrade to a better hotel as a band member.
However, this is what actually energizes Cowherds. These same players are suddenly enjoying private aircraft, better lodgings, and more compensation after barely making ends meet on low-cost airfares. The league's financial situation has drastically improved, allowing players to enjoy privileges that were unthinkable just 2 seasons ago. However, some veterans continue to gripe about the individual who made it all possible.
They deserve a big raise, maybe not 50% of revenues, because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA stars, well, there's one that moves the needle. And here's the other thing to remember. Caitlin Clark's already rich. She made $11 million this year alone in endorsements off the court. So regardless of how these negotiations go, she's set. Nobody else is, right? So when somebody joins the band and everything gets upgraded, just be happy.
Let's be honest about what transpired. By himself, Clark transformed this league from a nonprofit into a successful enterprise. Every time she performs, the TV ratings rise. Because they know she attracts viewers, sponsors are splurging on the WNBA. Engagement in social media has skyrocketed. Young girls are buying Clark jerseys faster than they can manufacture them. Whether they choose to acknowledge it or not, every player in that league is impacted by the ripple effect. This is where Cowherd's frustration reaches its peak. He witnessed this change in real time and finds it incomprehensible that certain players are biting the hand that feeds them. Why would you be critical of the individual who brought about your victory when you have been fighting for decades and are finally winning?
I know you wanted your song to be the first one they played. You wanted to make up the set. But I mean, it's not the t-shirts. You're going to do fine. I'd scale back on the Caitlin Clark angst.
Cowherd's comparison of the league's evolution to moving from a Motel 6 in a dubious area of town to a four-season location in the shopping district was spot on. That comment captures everything about what Clark has done for the WNBA. The lodgings, the treatment, the financial stability, the respect from mainstream sports media. Because one athlete gave women's basketball previously unheard of attention, everything improved. However, some seasoned athletes continue to act as though nothing has changed, stuck in the past. They are whining about the person who got them out of the Motel 6 while living in four-season luxury. Cowherd could no longer ignore the ugly revelation made by the WNBA All-Star voting results. The voting process for All-Stars is fairly simple. Players vote for the people they believe should be recognized, managers select reserves, and fans vote for their favorites. This is significant because All-Star choices have a direct bearing on legacy development, endorsement agreements, and how these players are remembered in the past. Being selected for the All-Star team, in particular, confirms the influence of young players and positions them for more possibilities.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds. But it's interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like.
Which guard did the fans think Caitlin Clark was the best? Where was she ranked by her fellow players? The ninth. The same players who benefited from her success ranked 9th, including the league's biggest draw, the person in charge of sold-out arenas and record merchandise sales. The vote was also not close. There was a huge disconnect between player recognition and fan support.
Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like. Don't fight it. When Puka Nacua went in the 5th round of the Rams and they suddenly in camp went, oh, we just found a new number 1 receiver. He's better than Cooper Kupp. They didn't fight it. Did you think when you watched Tom Brady at the Combine, that looked like the GOAT? They had just signed Drew Bledsoe to a $103 million contract. That was a lot of money back then. And then a year in, they're like, we're going to go with Brady. They didn't fight it.
Let's be honest about the true significance of this ranking. It was unrelated to the basketball player's performance. Clark was setting records one after another and putting up astounding figures. All-Star recognition was validated by the statistics. This had to do with something quite different, something far more intimate. Think about other young sensations in sports history. Even if they didn't enjoy the attention LeBron James received, seasoned players acknowledged his talent when he first appeared on the scene. The tour veterans may not have enjoyed being overshadowed when Tiger Woods was a young player, but they valued his contributions to the game. The pushback appeared so blatant and trivial, which makes the Clark scenario feel different. As Cowherd saw these vote results, he didn't hold back. He termed it pettiness, which is precisely what it was. He brought attention to the fact that several WNBA players were displaying a total lack of gratitude for the one who revolutionized their league. These players were deliberately acting against their own interests rather than adopting what he referred to as the golden goose.
You know, there's obviously a racial component here. The WNBA players, they just don't like what the wave looks like. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted a better deal in the CBA, which they'll get. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. They don't necessarily think it should be this. But again, you can't fight it. You just never know what success looks like.
This is what aggravates me even more. Clark's popularity has directly aided players like Kelsey Plum and AJ Wilson. As more people become aware of the WNBA, their personal profiles have expanded. Their salaries and working conditions improved because Clark brought revenue to the league. However, she was ranked lower than players with much less influence when it came time to demonstrate professional respect through all-star voting.
Every company in the country would love to go viral every day for free marketing. If they knew how to do it, they'd all be viral every day. Like, you just don't know. Is it authentic? It touches people. There's a tentacle of emotion involved, and suddenly some small town kid goes viral, or a singing frog. Who knows? I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this transformative. I wouldn't have guessed Tom Brady would be the GOAT. Don't fight it. The wave, the meteor, doesn't necessarily look like you think it's going to look.
Everything we've witnessed on the court this season is directly related to this voting dispute. The blatant targeting, the hard fouls, and the needless contact all originate from the same spot. Some seasoned athletes find it difficult to accept that a sophomore altered all of their preconceived notions about their league. They are venting their annoyance by criticizing Clark for their own accomplishments during games and by voting for All-Stars.
Saying, hey man, this league has never made money. It's an investment. It's now going to make money. And by the way, this is the least profitable, arguably, it'll be over the next 10 years. It's only going to get more profitable as women's basketball gets better, as the Caitlin Clark momentum train gets bigger. I mean, this year, she's not playing well. She's hurt. She's not there for all the games. So this is actually not as great as it could be. Like Michael Jordan, hurt year 2, next 12 years were legendary. That's what it's going to be.
Although the parallel that Cowherd made makes the Clark scenario very evident, some individuals find it unsettling. Jordan and Clark both came in as flamboyant rookies who abruptly switched leagues. Jordan made the NBA an international sensation. Additionally, Clark is currently performing the same function for the WNBA. The parallel is so clear that you can't help but wonder why more people aren't discussing it.
Caitlin Clark's gotten really good really fast. It's like the end of year 1 for Michael Jordan or year 3 for Michael Jordan. She's gotten really good really fast. And you got to put a body on her, or you got to double team her, or she's going to embarrass you. She's shooting 33-footers. And what happened last night's a byproduct of that. This is what happened to MJ. She's number 1 and 2 in every offensive stat. She's hitting more threes this season than Steph Curry did in his first MVP season, and her game embarrasses you.
The entire narrative is revealed by the physical abuse that both players received. Jordan faced the infamous Jordan rules from the Detroit Pistons, designed specifically to wear him down through aggressive contact. Throughout the season, Clark has had to contend with comparable targeting. Similar to how they are currently struggling with Clark, officials had a difficult time protecting Jordan in his early years. Officials are allowing a lot of things that seem nearly wrong in relation to Clark's treatment in court. Cowherd